Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Last week I went to the library to find some books on the American Revolution and the Revolutionary War because I had just started a unit study with my teenagers on this. And I happened to find a book called King George, What Was His Problem? And at the bottom it says, everything your school books didn't tell you about the American Revolution. And I was instantly drawn to this book because if you have been to my channel before, you know that I say time and time again that textbooks are a terrible way to learn and that they were not written in a way that's interesting for kids. And I don't understand why so many homeschoolers seem to really try as hard as they can to keep those textbooks in their homeschool when honestly, they just don't hold the child's interest enough for them to even remember anything that they've read about. So, of course, when I see that something says everything your school books didn't tell you about the American Revolution, I thought to myself, well, that's definitely a book that I want to try. So I got home and I was paging through it, and I happened to come across this. And if you can't see it, it says Confessions of a Textbook Writer. And I read through it and I was shocked because what it ends up being is that the author of this book, Steve Sheinkin, he used to be a textbook author. And in the front of this book, he's basically admitting the fact that textbook authors are not allowed to make textbooks interesting. Go figure. And it really, I don't get it, because don't you think that schools would want to present information to kids in a way that they're going to actually remember? So it really makes you wonder, you know, why? Why do they do things this way? And he doesn't get into the whys of it, but he's basically talking about how he was never allowed to write about the things that he wanted to in the textbooks because he wasn't allowed to make things interesting at all. So what I was originally going to do was I was just going to read you what he wrote, just in case you never got to get a look at this book yourself, just so that you could hear, coming from, well, not the mouth, but hear what an actual textbook author had to say about the situation. But what I decided to do, rather than just reading to you from a book on this video, because who wants to look at me reading from a book, I decided to make you a little slideshow of me reading what he had to say about this subject. So, you know, I have to say it was like a vindication for me to read through this, and I hope that your eyes are opened as much as mine were.
If you promise not to get too mad, I'll tell you a secret. I used to write textbooks. Yes, it's true, I helped write those big books that break your back when you carry them and put you to sleep when you read them. But let me say one thing in my own defense. I never meant for them to be boring. I used to spend long days in the library searching for stories to make my history textbooks fun to read. And I filled up notebooks with good ones, funny, amazing, inspiring, surprising, and disgusting stories. But as you've probably noticed, textbooks are filled with charts, tables, lists, names, dates, review questions. There isn't any room left for the good stuff. In fact, every time I tried to sneak in a cool story, my bosses used to drag me to this dark room in the basement of our building and take turns dropping filing cabinets on my head. Okay, that's a lie. But they could have fired me, right? And I've got a wife and baby to think about. So here's what I did. Over the years, I secretly stashed away all the stuff I wasn't allowed to use in textbooks. I kept telling myself, one of these days I'm going to write my own history books, and I'll pack them with all the true stories and real quotes that textbooks never tell you. Well, now those books finally exist. If you can find it in your heart to forgive my previous crimes, I hope you'll give this book a chance. Thanks for hearing me out.
So what did you think? Were your eyes opened as much as mine were? And again, I have to say, it's kind of a good feeling to see that no, I am not imagining this about the textbooks, that it really is true that they're not allowed to be interesting. So I would just love to hear your thoughts on this. So just leave a comment. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love if you would do that. And I hope you have a great day.